Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I just want to open up real quickly. Usually I do kind of more public appearances that are open to the public, so a lot of housewife fans come to these things. But this is definitely industry related, which I love that we actually can talk about design and tabletop, and lots of you are really interested in that. But I know there's also a few housewife fans in. So the last 10 minutes, we'll do a quick presentation with some photos, and we'll walk through it. If you have any questions at any time, feel free to raise your hand, ask questions or comments. And we'll have a Q&A when it's all done. But also the last 10 minutes, if you want, I can open this up to some questions, like, is Danielle really that crazy kind of thing? For those of you who are definitely housewife fans. I don't want to leave you guys out. So anyway, hopefully some of you have seen Dina's party on HGTV, and basically my company, Designer Affair, we throw events out of people's homes for this particular show. And entertaining out of your home can sometimes be intimidating, and we really want to show you that you could do this no matter what the size of your home is, or a lot of people feel like their layout is not conducive to entertaining. So what we try to do is show you that you can do this. And for those of you who saw first season, there definitely was a lot of over-the-top transformations. That was at the request of the network. They wanted us to really, just show everybody what we can do. So we did a lot of crazy things, really crazy transformations. Season 2 that we're filming right now is going to be a lot more relatable, showing the homeowner how to really entertain and how you could do this at home. We're doing a lot more makeover space. I was an interior designer for 20 years, so we're going to be showing some of my talent in that field as well. So I'm really excited about season 2. Right now we're off air, but you can always go on dinamanzo.com or designeraffair.com, hgtv.com to see some of the older episodes, or we're going to start doing more YouTube videos on how to, a lot of interesting things. What I like to do is take what's out there in the marketplace and enhance it even more. So you'll see some of these fabulous things that are available to us, and we'll use them in interesting ways. And kind of set it up out of the norm. So anyway, hopefully I can see. I can't see much, but I think I know the order of this. This is a wedding episode that's going to air soon. And the takeaway that I want to show you from this one is that you don't have to always use the same centerpieces, especially at formal events. People think it has to be the same thing. What we did here, this was a big pink jersey wedding, and they also wanted leopard. I keep on thinking this is the mic. It's here. I can move away. They also wanted leopard in there, of course, jersey leopard. So we try to do it in a little bit more elegant way, and you'll see that's the other centerpiece. So there are actually 4 different styles that were throughout the space, so you don't always have to use the same centerpiece. These are little bowls that usually you put candles. We decided to use them as flower arrangement holders, which really came out beautiful. That's a takeaway there. This is our Christmas episode, and what I want to show you here is elevating arrangements. Now, we built those ourselves, those metal trees, and we added the crystals on ourselves, but you can do this with different kind of fruit tiers. No, well, the welder did, yeah, we designed them, he welded them together. We have, thank God, on our set, we have some really talented people that can do this. But it wasn't expensive to get something welded like that. They used scrap material that they had already, and they welded them for us, and then we added on. Those are actual crystal curtains, which I'm sure are available somewhere out here. We cut them off individually. But the takeaway here is just build your levels, get it off the table. Those are smaller cocktail tables, so we wanted people to be able to sit down with a drink and a small plate and, see each other and stuff. So to think about elevating, and you don't have to put flowers on top of there. You can do balloons, you could do candles, you could do anything. So that was our Christmas special, which is really magnificent. You can see that online. This was a Tiffany-inspired event that we did. And for this one, every single table had a different linen, had a different chair treatment. You don't have to use the same thing. Some of them were fabric by the yard that we purchased. Some of them were linens that we rented. We added to those beautiful centerpieces our own pearl necklaces and crowns, tiaras, everything. They look really opulent and expensive on there, but they're actually what you would get at a party store. The fake little pearl necklaces and the fake little tiaras for little kids' parties, but once they're put on these magnificent centerpieces, they really took on a really expensive look. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. Just make sure you have a good and beautiful solid base. And if you look, now you can see where we actually, all the different linens that were used. And every single chair had a different treatment. Some of them were just some tools, some of them were fabric. Again, using fabric remnants and stuff. My favorite thing is to go to a fabric store, to their closeout bin, and buy what's in good shape, and we find a way to use it. So that was a really fun one. This was an event for actually a good friend of mine who loved everything New York, Studio 54-ish we had in the other room going on because she was turning 54. And this was her favorite place, you know, Breakfast at Tiffany's, her favorite movie, so we wanted to recreate that for her. And this is her dining room, and it wasn't a very big home. Yeah. This is very interesting. This is our Vegas episode that I mentioned to some of you before. He loved to go to Vegas. Now they have small kids. They can't get there too much. So we created that Bellagio. It's actually in the entrance when you walk in this hotel, that blown glass feel. Those are the floral plates that you find at floral supplies, and they cost about 50 cents a piece, $1 a piece. And you get a hot gun, just hit them with the hot gun. And it's kind of like when you put a plastic container in the dishwasher and you shouldn't. That's what kind of happens. And you paint it with stained glass paint, so you have that real translucent feel. And those look like expensive $1 million glass blown pieces, and literally all of that costs about $25 to make. We had these lucite tables that we rented, and you can put anything you want in them. They're available in the industry. We chose to put some water with marbles and floating lilies. You can put anything you want. We use them a lot for seafood displays with some ice and seaweed. We built those lifts out of lucite as well, and put living fish in there just to give that over-the-top kind of Vegas quality to it. No fish were harmed in the making of this television show. But it was a really cute idea, and it gave that fantasy of Vegas. And you don't have to go to the extreme of these kind of tables that we did. You can do one big centerpiece in the middle of your table, one big focal point at maybe when you first walk into a space, the card, you know, where people get their place cards. But also, you know, using some crazy inspiration, but doing it in a practical way. That's another view of it. So you can see we use the ghost chairs. We use a lot of succulents and natural plants underneath. We wanted that organic feel of the botanical gardens of Vegas there as well. So if you look at the bottom layer, it's all succulents and natural plants, calla lilies. Very simply done, and the top is the outrageous Vegas. That's someone's great room. Close-up of it. This is one of my favorite episodes that we did in the Hamptons, and we did it for a socialite. Her Hamptons is red carpet and fancy parties, and my Hamptons is sunsets and farm stands and the beautiful organic produce that you can get there. So my challenge was to show her what Hamptons is really all about. I mean, yes, there's the red carpet and there's the fancy parties, but that's really the beauty of the Hamptons. So everything that you see here was picked from a local organic farm stand. And we used a lot of produce in the design. Everything, if you look closely, we use raffia, all natural linens. Everything is really organic, and it was total. She wanted blue roses at this event. Blue roses don't even exist in real life, so I wanted to show her how you can do things using everything that's really indicative of where we were. Look at the mason jars used as glasses. Just twine, simple twine as a napkin ring. And these were our food displays. We got potatoes and tomatoes and zucchini, and we just draped them out of natural wicker baskets and put all the platters of food around it. So I took her to the farm stand. She said, "Show me how you're going to make potatoes look good." And I showed her in the end how you could use, and it's so inexpensive. So again, at home you could do this on a much smaller scale. Just use beautiful platters and baskets of produce. That's some of the basil and tomato centerpieces that we did, and simple sunflowers picked from the farm stands. But basil, lemon, and tomatoes can be a centerpiece. That's a close-up of the table setting. This is a shower that we did in someone's basement with 7-foot ceilings. So we really transformed this space. Everyone has a basement that they think they can't entertain in. What we did is we just draped out the walls and some fabric remnants, draped out the ceiling, And the interesting takeaway here, we built those blocks out of foam core and sparkle, which you can basically do anything out of foam core and sparkle. If you just really, get yourself an X-Acto knife, you can build anything out of foam core. We've done complete sets out of foam core. Every linen here is different, and that was the interest. It was a very small space, so every linen was a different blue. Obviously, it was a baby boy. And again, we didn't rent these expensive linens. We went to the fabric store, $3, $4 a yard, cut them. The raw edges actually look nice. They look like little fringes in some fabrics. Most fabrics, the raw edges are not, you wouldn't be offended by them at all. And again, this was one of our budget episodes where we did the party for under $1,000. So this was the cake table, and we went to Toys R Us and bought baby blocks. And the cake was little small. It actually started to melt at that point. It was really hot in the room. But it was little small block cakes built into one big baby block. But everything around it was dollars. We got some from Toys R Us, and we got some from the dollar store. And they were just building different levels using inexpensive candles. But look how magnificent that looks. And that surround cost maybe $15 to do. If you look in the back, this is one of our displays. We put a glass cube upside down with the baby blocks in it. So again, another way to use something every day you wouldn't normally use in an interesting way. Built the levels up for our display. This was the food station, and what's, fabric by the yard. Everything that's under there is stuff I ransacked from her garage. It was milk crates. It was paint cans. You don't want to see what it looks like under that fabric, but it was all free. So I built different levels of interest and covered it with some great fabric. Again, the fabric, $2, $3 a yard in the remnants box, and look how great it looks. It makes the food look so much better. So if you're like me, who's not really great in the kitchen, do this to your food. Even if it's potato chips and pretzels, it's going to look much better. Again, here is building levels, using different tiers. This was a Moroccan event, and we didn't use crazy centerpieces. We used all fruit and grapes, tangerines, dates, and that was the focal point for our centerpiece. That was one of the buffet stations. This is their, again, a little den room that they used. Just took out the little ratty futon that they had, replaced it with a buffet table. This is a Western episode that we did, and a lot of people really enjoyed this one. Again, the story was, it was an Italian boy moving to Texas. He was moving to Dallas. So he wanted his meatballs and he wanted his spaghetti at the party in Staten Island. But we wanted to give him a little flair of Texas. So we went really back to the Wild West and really got fun, tongue-in-cheek. And we built the display for the food in these great little kind of campfire type things. But when you open those up, there were spaghetti and meatballs in them. So it was a fun way to bring the food that he wanted, but the feel and the theme of Texas. And I know here we're in Texas, and I was telling them I expected people, and I tweeted it out and I got attacked. Yeah. I wanted to see people walking around in cowboy hats. I didn't know that no one really does, because my friends who moved to Dallas showed me pictures of people like just walking down the street in a big 10-gallon hat. But I hear now Houston is definitely more urban, and next week is the rodeo. I think I have to come back to see some cowboy hats. But beautiful city, by the way, for those of you who aren't. So this is what we did. We took some of that wood that they sell at the supermarket, for your fireplace. We built it up. We got some rocks from the backyard, and those pots are available at Kmart. That's what we did. And we built this beautiful scape, and it looks like, a real Western campground. This is another way to build. This is all vintage pieces. Put it together. The pieces don't have to match. That's one of the takeaways that a lot of people get anxiety entertaining at home by yourself. Like, I don't have place setting for 20 people. It's okay to mix and match, and that actually makes it interesting. And this is a photo shoot I did for a line that I'm working on now that's all about vintage pieces and not mixing and matching. For me, the worst thing you could do is take like a set that matches and put it all around. You want to make it unique to you, your guest, the guest of honor, and that's the way to do it. This is a takeaway for this, is to use trays as your centerpieces, especially if you have to use a table's dual purpose, kind of change it into your dessert real quick, or you wanted to make it beautiful when people walk in, but you need to actually sit there and eat. Put things on trays, and you could use them all different types. I mean, trays are available now. You could even use big platters. One thing I love to use is mirrors. Take your mirror off the wall, use it as a platter. And that way, whatever beautiful tablescape is on it, you can easily remove it from the table and put your food down, whatever you have to do. So a quick, easy way to really transform your space. Quick, put things on trays, on platters, on mirrors. And that's the takeaway for that one. These are great. I don't know if anybody in the party industry uses them, but they're living tables. The models actually get dressed up for any theme. We've done Copacabana, where we had Carmen Miranda in them. This is actually from Housewives. If any of you watched Teresa's christening, this is the Marie Antoinette that we had there. And it really is a wow factor for have guests, especially during cocktail hour. They're super expensive, I'm not going to lie. But to have them for an hour at your cocktail hour or something, and you can recreate this. I mean, the guy doesn't like me to tell the secrets, but that's just a hole in a 60-inch round table with fabric draped over it. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but if you don't have the money to spend on that, you could really recreate it yourself. They just do such a magnificent job. That's another one we use for a Winter Wonderland wedding. Isn't that insane? So those are really fun. And I guess what the point I'm trying to prove with this is maybe you don't have a huge budget, but if you put it into that one wow factor, something like that, you'll have your guests talking for a long time just about this, and the rest of the stuff will kind of fall into place. Okay, these are some Halloween things since we are at Halloween. Again, using fabric, this is probably cheesecloth, gauze, rip it up. You don't have to think too much about it. One thing I love to do is use candle holders, not for candles. There's pumpkins on top of those. So think of other ways that you can use items that are normally used for something else. Dry ice. I was on Nate Berkus, and we had this whole Halloween tablescape. And I knew, of course, I designed the whole table. The only thing I did not do is get the dry ice myself because it's really dangerous. It's hot, and usually I tell someone, can you go get me some dry ice, and it kind of appears, and he was like, so where do you get dry ice from? The one question I couldn't answer, I'm like, I don't know. But apparently, you can get it order from the internet early. Just be careful handling it. A lot of, believe it or not, hardware stores I know now do carry it. You just have to be super, super careful because you could burn yourself on it. But that's a really cool effect. Again, if you don't have a lot of money to spend on a tablescape, dry ice makes a really awesome. This is another cool thing using, is this the one with the feathers, Danielle? I can't really see it too close. No. Yeah, there are feathers on the tablescape. But another thing you could do, go to your tile store. They always have remnants around that they need to get rid of, left over from a job, and you could use them as chargers. So one thing that we did for a Thanksgiving tablescape on Better TV is we use these big tiles as chargers. It didn't cost us a dime. They gave it to us. A lot of the small mosaics they'll give to you. So go visit these stores. Ask them what they have in the back room. They'll give them to you for free, and then your table will look really unique. So those can be big black tiles on the bottom. You can decorate them with rhinestones, surround them with feathers. Another thing, this is kind of reminiscent of a tile, the chargers here. But just, this is not real spooky, but it's pretty. It's one type of flower. The takeaway from here is if you're not a florist, like I know I have these crazy designs in my head, but physically, I'm not a florist. I don't know how long this flower will last in this. Use one type of flower, and that's the best way to make a big impact. I was a judge on Design Star for a wedding episode, and actually Meg, who won, for those of you who watch HGTV, she did the flowers, and I was really hard on her because she went and tried to be this florist and use all different flowers, and it looked like crap. And I'm like, if you just use one type of flower and made it grand and made an impact and the scale was right, it would have looked better. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't try to be something you're not. Just pick one flower, put it in an interesting container, and that's basically all you need to do. This, again, is using the cheesecloth. I like to, mix in natural elements, so even crystal goblets where they're unexpected in a Halloween thing. Get out your fancy crystal and put it on your Halloween spooky tablescape. It will make it not so cheesy looking. It will give it some elegance. This, if you take away the webs, is really just black and white decor, which lots of us can use all times of the year. So don't think because it's Halloween you have to use orange and red. That spooky drink is kind of the thing that makes the table, that one little element there. But make sure you can actually eat with the cobwebs around you. This is kind of an introduction to what we're going to next. Here's the crystal goblets. But if you look in the back, there's some sparkly elements, which I think sparkle is appropriate any time of the year for any event. And this is where we get into this. These are pumpkins I made for Parade magazine. And they're basically, some are real, some are the faux pumpkins you get at Michael's or any kind of store. You spray paint them, Add some, the rhinestones now come with self-adhesive on the back, or you could use a glue gun. Add some feathers. They're so inexpensive to make. Each one costs maybe $7 to make, and look at the impact that they make. So that could be a tablescape on its own. You're going to a party. Halloween's kind of awkward. What do I bring to a Halloween party? This is the perfect thing to make. And believe me, I can create anything in my mind. I'm not that crafty with my hands, and if I could make those, you can make those. And those decals, spider decals, everything's available. Of course, how to make a Dina's party one. This is a cornucopia display. Again, if you don't want to get real crazy with the small little details, do one grand thing. You actually can eat at that table. That was from my house, my Thanksgiving display. And you actually could, I mean, you can't family style, but you can definitely sit around there and eat with a platter. So one grand centerpiece instead of lots of small things is actually time-saving, because that you can put together literally in 5 minutes, and it's a lot of real gourds that aren't expensive, supermarket gourds. That's a way to use the jeweled pumpkins in a really simple way. Those are so simple to use. You can draw it out first. You can do it freehand. And that's it. So does anyone have any questions about any of the Dina's party? Yes, most of these pictures, if you go to designerfair.com, you'll be able to see it. I'm going to put up, we're in the process of updating dinamanzo.com, and there'll be actually videos of how to do those pumpkins and a lot more. We're going to, while we're off season, you know, the HGTV fans are really wanting to see how-tos. So we're going to be doing some YouTube videos and showing you how to do it yourself, because that's what next season's all about. It's just allowing the homeowner to do this on their own and not, you know, they can just go to the party store, get some supplies, and do it themselves without hiring an event planner, which I'll probably be out of business for that. But anybody else have any questions about it? That's a fine line. She was asking if the client, you don't like what the client wants, do you do it anyway? I always try to show them how they can take their idea and make it better. Because obviously they're hiring me for a reason. They're not an event planner. So you want to say, okay, that's great. Choose an element from it that you can work with and make fabulous and gear it in the right direction. I mean, luckily, knock on wood, my clients do listen to me, and I'm able to say, that idea kind of sucks. Let's do this instead. And I've been successful with that, but sometimes people want what they want. So just take what you can out of it and just make it even better than they imagined. And then they'll start to trust you along the way. Mm-hmm. Again, I would try to take some of the things that she bought and put it use it in a way that wasn't what she was expecting and make it wonderful. So let's say she gets cheesy little sparklers or something like that. I would put it in a display that's a little bit more fabulous and incorporate what she likes. But I mean, sometimes you do have to work with what they have, and that's where you need to think outside the box. And you need to be able to create on the fly and use. My favorite thing is to rummage through people's homes and find things that I can use with that to make it even better. So they're not spending any more money. They're not stressed out saying, well, this is not whatever. Use what you have, enhance it with what you like. But hopefully they'll be open to different ideas. And there's so many ways. I mean, just walking around here and seeing what's out there in the market, there's so many ways to not spend a lot of money and make things look incredible. Balloons is, one way. Balloons are not crazy money, and you can look at that cake. I mean, that's a lot of balloons, but you could do a smaller version of that and really have a strong impact on not a lot of money. So I'm always open. I want to hear my client. I want to make it about them. But that's what I'm there for, is to teach them how to make it better. Anybody else? Outdoor gatherings, my favorite. Weather, of course. We're from Jersey, and the weather is so unpredictable. The other day it was 60 degrees, and we'll probably hit a blizzard when we get back. So weather is number one. A lot of people I'm not going to lie, I love to do an event out of your home because it's your special space. What's better than to invite people to where, you live and you spend all your time to celebrate an occasion, but you have to be realistic. If you're going to have an outdoor party, you have to keep a tent in mind. And tents are not cheap, and neither is heating a tent or air conditioning a tent. So a lot of people right away, they want to use the outdoor. Weather is unpredictable. We have no control. Be prepared to, put $5,000 aside if the weather forecast changed to get that tent, or be prepared to take it inside your house as well. So unless you live in California, where 99% of the time the weather is great, I would have a plan B, and we always do. And we have several times set up and broken down and set up again an event, and that's just the risk you take. But some of the most beautiful events we've had have been outdoors, so just have a plan B. For real life or for the show? This show, real life, what's involved, actually. If it's a tent, we like to get the tent delivered a week ahead of time so we know the ground is going to be protected from, if it does rain 3 days out, that could affect your party. But, venues, we have sometimes 2 hours to set up an event. Some people plan their weddings 2 years in advance. Unfortunately for Dina's party, we get our party on Monday, and by Wednesday it has to be everything ordered, everything set up. So I have a crazy, amazing design team that allows us to do that. But of course, the more complicated, the more lead time. Always give yourself extra time, because no matter how organized you are and how much you think you have everything covered, something's going to go wrong. I think there's been maybe 1 or 2 parties that was like, really? This is okay? The flowers either turn up the wrong color, some are dead. Those are things you can't control. If your florist delivers pink roses and you ordered red, well, you're going to have to go out and get red roses, because the client's not going to understand that. Again, knowing the flowers, white hydrangeas will die that day, so you can't set them up any earlier than an hour before your party, because by the end of the party, they're probably going to be wilting already. So a little tip I can give you with hydrangeas is the hardier ones, use them when they're, obviously if they're local, they're going to be hardier to you, but spray paint them. We've spray painted flowers several times. I know it sounds so tacky, but they look real, they look beautiful. Also, if it's an arrangement that's up high, it's okay to put some artificial ones in. As a matter of fact, that wedding photo that I showed you, I would say it was about 10% artificial in there, because there were certain flowers I wanted, and they just were not in season. It was too expensive to ship them from, wherever they were coming from that time of year. So we put the real in. Most of it was real, but we put the artificial, good quality, and with it, nobody knew at all. So that's another hint, spray painting and mix in some artificial. I'm sorry? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, floral spray paint, yes. They actually make it for the industry. You don't want to kill anything with chemicals. Anybody else? Yeah. Well, what's interesting, she's asking about children's parties. Candy bars are a trend now for adult parties. I haven't done a wedding recently without a candy bar. The trend for children's parties are really, they're more adult parties than kids' parties. A lot of the parents are gearing it to impressing the kids' friends' mothers, which I just try, yes, we can do that, but make sure the kids are busy, interactive, a lot of activities for them. It's so hard in this world to raise children and be grounded. So I always try to incorporate an element of charity or something, have them make a project for somebody, local children's hospital or something. And they really enjoy it. And people walk away feeling like, the one thing that I'm trying to do with Dina's party and writing my book is, sometimes I feel like what we do is superficial, like making things look pretty. But if you put meaning behind it, and we remember why we're doing this and why we're there that day. We're getting married. It's not just about the day. A lot of brides get wrapped up in that day and not realize what they're doing. They're making a commitment for the rest of their lives. So it's kind of hard, because I try to switch their minds, set from just about this day being fabulous and bridezilla to really what it's all about and why you're getting married and how you met. And the same thing for kids. Make it about your child and what they're interested in. Even if people don't get it, the people who are coming obviously love your child, know your child. They're going to understand there's something out of the ordinary there. But I always try to, for me, I'm trying to make the trend more about meaningful, more about, doing something that, giving back in a certain way. And a lot of kids, of course, are not going to want to give up their gifts, to donate. But maybe they can have an activity where they make something for a senior's home or something. Animals, kids love animals. So if there's an animal adoption, the event in the Hamptons, I'm also on the board of an organization that rescues animals from South Carolina. And we had animals there available at the party for rescue. So we made it more meaningful. Like they're not just coming to celebrate, but they can walk away with giving an animal a new home. That's why I recommend the live people for the cocktail hour. Because A, that's not the most comfortable outfit to be in. B, they're called strolling tables, so they are meant to stroll along. And it's only yes, they move. Actually not rollers, she's got big, huge kind of Frankenstein shoes on, and she needs to walk around in them because she needs to be tall enough to, be at the same level. So I like to keep them to cocktail hour, an hour. It doesn't even have to be the whole thing. It could be a half an hour. Greeting guests, that's another thing, to have something outrageous like that, greeting guests. And like I said, if you only have a small budget and you want to put the majority towards something like that, that's your wow factor. That's what people are going to take away with them. So don't spread it out so thin if you don't have a lot. Make one big impact and be simple the rest of the party. Yes, absolutely. They're great for sushi stations, something that's kind of quick, you know. Absolutely, yeah. And you could take some of these ideas and bring them to your own home. My daughter in her room, she has all kinds of mannequins with her jewelry draping on it. And like you said, you can make a little table with a bust coming out of it, make it fun, and put her makeup on it. But that's what I like to use, things that are unexpected. And what I love about being a designer for so many years is I do put a lot of my interior design into the party. It's really decorating a day. So a lot of times, like I spend 90% of my time at Home Goods buying things for a party. Incorporating candlesticks. Like I said, don't put a candle on it. You're going to put maybe big bowls of candy on these candlesticks. That's another way to use a candlestick. Just think differently, because you want your party to be unique. You don't want to be a cookie cutter party where everybody comes and goes to the next one the next week and it's exactly the same. So do something different. Don't be afraid. At the end of the day, it's just a party. Be there because you want to be with your friends and family celebrating that occasion, and everything else should just be fun. Oh gosh. An event I planned that something really went wrong. I always have a plan B. I really do, because I've learned quickly in interior design that sofa doesn't always come in the way you ordered it, and thank God you have time to order another sofa. You don't have any time. So, there's been times where flowers showed up dead. As a matter of fact, for that wedding that I showed you, I had someone do the flowers because we were on a budget, and HG was, you'll see they gave us a certain amount of money to put this tent up, and we had a ceremony inside. So I ordered the flowers, and I kind of gave him the look, and it showed up, and it was a complete wrong look. And these people were showing up. So that's why I ran out in a panic, and I just got some artificial. I went to the local market. I went to the supermarket, got pink robe, whatever I could to fill it in. But, you always know you have that kind of backup that you can do. But I don't think there's ever been anything that was, huh? Oh gosh, yes. Well, this past season, our first season, there was a blizzard, and I'm not even kidding, we live in New Jersey. There was a blizzard, which that will happen. There was a hurricane. There was an earthquake. Tornado threats. Like, we went through, it was kind of like God kind of testing me, like, how bad do you want this show, Dina? Because we literally went through everything. So we were setting up an outdoor party, and a hurricane came through. And we had to rip down everything. They showed a little bit of it, rip down everything, put up walls, and wake up really early the next morning and set it up again. So weather is my biggest enemy. Mother Nature and I usually don't like each other, but she gives me a good sunset once in a while, so I forgive her. Absolutely. budget, it's a budget question. You always want to be real with your client. And if they come to you and say, listen, I only have $10,000 and this is the kind of party, of course you want to work with them and try to make, your wow factor here and where you can cheat a little bit. But again, in interior design, I know you're always going to go over budget in some way, whether you want to or not, or at the end you're like, we went this far, screw it, let's just get the strolling table. There's always going to be something that you're going to want. So always have, I say, put 10% on reserve of what you have in mind. And, obviously some people only can spend this much, so you have to be really strict, and there is no plan B. This is it, and if something goes wrong, you're not going to have it. But always keep like a 10% reserve for either if something goes wrong, if nothing goes wrong, maybe that last minute you feel inspired to add something else. Or you know what, you feel like a lot of people when they hire us have something in mind, and then we go to the next level with their price range. They're so surprised, and they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Now I'm going to do what I thought it wouldn't fit in before, and get the strolling table or get the living art or something like that. So 10% is usually what I recommend. Anybody else? My team consists of, I have 2 girls who do coordination. They're the ones who pick up the phone and make everything show up. I have what I call a set designer who will do my flower arranging, anything kind of zhuzhing, as we call, draping fabric. I have a contractor, which normal event planners don't have, but because of the show, I need somebody to build me something if I need it. And other than that, it's really, I'm very hands-on. We know what we're doing, we're quick. If we know it's going to be extensive, I'll add in some other people. But we're so used to working with each other and how we work, it's always a mess if we bring in an outsider. It takes more time to explain how we do things. So really, the coordinators that are on the phone all week are there helping me set up. People are surprised because I may look fancy at times. I'm the one who's lugging the garbage at the end of the night with my team and loading trucks and don't get home till 3. It's not a glamorous business. We were laughing at this before. She's asking how I share my vision with my team. I find it hard sometimes because lots of what I think of, again, has not been done. So it doesn't always exist. Aspects of it will exist in the industry. So I have a hard time sometimes articulating what had happened in my mind, and they're kind of like sitting there like, what is she talking about? So I'll use props. I'll use different things. I mean, we've used everything from a beautiful vintage platter, where I'll show them what I'm talking about, the feel. And for me, a lot of it is the energy of a space. I can never decorate something as much as, to the best of my ability by looking at a picture. I need to be in the space and feel it. And that's a lot of the way I work personally. It's about the energy of it and the flow of it, and it happens when I'm in there. So they kind of just walk behind me and take notes a million miles an hour, and then I'll send them images, what I'm thinking of, along the lines of this. Take this from this. But I never want to do anything that's done before, so it's always piecing together different. And I have sent them pictures of sunset, and so this is my inspiration. And they're like, oh, we need to do a whole party over a sunset. But lighting. Lighting is at every single event that's indoor for me. Lighting is huge. It's another way to really have that wow factor. It's not cheap, I'm not going to lie. We do own our own equipment now, which if you're in the industry, if you're doing this every week, it's good to have your own uplighting. But there's nothing like a professional that comes in and pins spots for you. Outdoors obviously doesn't do anything during the day. But every indoor, why have a gorgeous centerpiece if you're not going to light it? Especially for your photographs. And that's what your clients want to take away. A bride is going to be so consumed in her day, she's not going to really enjoy everything that's there. She wants to look back at the picture. So you want them to look beautiful. So a centerpiece without a pin spot at night does not look nearly as nice as it should, or as it really, is. Uplighting, you can change the whole vibe of a room simply by uplighting. If you look at our Christmas episode that was up there, it was all ice blue uplighting. The pink wedding, we draped pink fabric, but it didn't really happen until we put the pink uplights. So lighting is huge. Like I said, it's good to make a good relationship with a lighting guy if you're in the industry, because you want that guy last minute if something doesn't look just right to come in and play with some lights and make it look magnificent. Are you in the lighting industry? Is that why you said? Yeah. Key. Yeah. Yeah, and you could simply design a space with lighting alone. Have no white furniture and some uplights, and that's enough. So my husband has a catering hall, and I've been on him forever to install pin spots there. Because, like you said, people don't think they need them, and they're like, I don't want to spend that. But if he has the package there, and it's a little bit easier and a little bit more affordable for the bride, she's going to do it, because she's going to see the difference. Anybody else? Okay, so housewife questions. I know they're out here. Anybody? Anybody have any, or did you ask me what you needed to ask me already? Huh? You're okay with it? Oh, good. Anybody else? Oh, that's a good one. For me personally, or yeah, I mean, for me, it's a very fine line. As you know, when you're in the industry, I don't like to be part of the party. I like to oversee. And a lot of people now, especially, want me to be on the dance floor dancing with them. It makes me a little uncomfortable because I need to make sure dessert's going out at the right time. So it's a lot of hats to wear. So I'm not your normal event planner anymore that I just am not part of the party. I'm kind of fly on the wall making sure everything goes. So people understand. I mean, it's for the greater good of the party to have me actually running everything. Yeah. So, you just be as polite as you can and just, you actually, you're like a therapist by the time this process is over, as you well know. You go through a very emotional time, especially if it's a bride, special occasions. You're holding their hand throughout this whole thing. So by that time, you should be that close where you can kind of say, this is your day, go enjoy it. Now let me do my thing. Yeah, it's when I was an interior designer, they always wanted to see drawings and everything. So I of course would, but for events, again, it's more like the energy and the feel of the party. So we do vision boards, which will have swatches of the fabric, will have images of certain things, and I don't want to give away everything either. So it will just, I did a vintage party once where my house, I kind of decorate my house differently, where I collect things I love. I see something that speaks to me, or I buy it and I find the spot for it. So my house is very layered, and for those of you who've seen it on TV, it looks like a cluttered mess. In real life, it's not. It's very peaceful, and it's my zen spot. But I was able to just walk around my house. It was a vintage-inspired event, and just grab a brooch, a candlestick, a piece of burlap, and that was able to show her enough of the feel of the party without literally showing her a picture of the centerpiece, a picture of the linens. It was kind of more the vibe. And that's what I like to do, is just show them the vibe. I don't want to show them anything specific because you want them to be surprised when they see it. And, unless you're dealing with a control freak or a momzilla or something, then she needs to see everything. Then I will invite her to the florist with a sample centerpiece and a tablescape and everything. But for the most part, they're really inspired by this vision board. Anybody else? Go ahead. Yeah, for those of you who watched Housewives, Teresa and her sister Melissa, sister-in-law, Melissa should have, in my opinion, shouldn't have come on the show because there was tension there. And for me, I just feel bad for her parents. So she wanted to be famous, and now she's famous, and she did what she had to do. But that's what happens a lot in life is you're so close to a sibling. My brother Chris and I have 11 brothers and sisters, and my brother Chris and I were like inseparable. Like before he was married, I was his wife. Built his house, do his dry cleaning, food shopping, everything. And then a woman comes along, and she maybe doesn't like that you're that close with your sister. So that was the same kind of thing. Like I think Joe and Teresa, Joe being the brother, were so close. Melissa didn't like it so much because he kept on comparing them. Make sure the birthday party's like she is, make sure our wedding is as good as her, and they are insecure about it. Instead of saying, oh great, can you teach me something? So, I remember when I first got married to my first husband, he was Greek and I'm Italian. I knew nothing about Greek traditions, food, and I was so anxious to dive into it and cook a 4-course Greek meal, and I'd be on the phone every day with his sisters that he adored. Like, how do I make stuffed grape leaves? But some women get mad at that instead and say, you love your sister too much. So it's real. No. Yeah. Well, I'm much happier doing what I do now. There's definitely drama because events are stressful, as we all know in the industry. But it's good drama. I'm going home at the end of the night, and yes, I wake up at 3 a.m. like, oh my God, did we order that? Whatever. But it's not like, anxiety-ridden drama like on that show. And I really do love what I do, and that's what makes you good at your job, is when you would do it anyway if you weren't getting paid. And believe me, when I first started out, I did a lot for free just to get a name for myself, and because I loved it, And I would just charge them for supplies and give them my time. And funny enough, I'm reading Russell Simmons' book now. It's called Super Rich, which is not what the title means. And that's one of the first things he said, and it kind of resonated, is like, if you love what you do so much, give it away for free, and then people will want it. They'll see, but be passionate about it. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. You still have. Yeah, you sign when you do a television show, you do sign that you are allowing them to film you, but you still have control over what they can film. That's why they stage a lot of dinners and a lot of parties and a lot of stuff, because that's a thing that they have control over. Like the last dinner was obviously staged. We all have to get together and talk about this. But why I didn't fit in for that is there were certain things I didn't want on camera. If it was something to do with my daughter, if she was having a bad day, I don't want the cameras filming you, and you're allowed to say no. But a lot of them feel like, you know, it's going to make great TV. And, I'm not particularly talking about Jersey, but there's some, like if you watch Beverly Hills, like the poor sister and the husband who killed themselves, like there's a time to say cameras down, this is really, but some people just want to be famous. But for my show now, we're trying to make season 2 a little bit more reality. Like we'll have lipstick cams in my car. That really happens, when I talk to the girls and things go wrong, because we want to show people that it just doesn't appear and everything's perfect. You're going to hit bumps along the way, and I want to show people that because, a lot of people were saying, oh, of course, she's got this team, but they should see the process and what really goes into it. So, I'm going to let you into that kind of world too, and a little bit of, how stressful this event planning can be, but how rewarding it could be when you make it meaningful. There's nothing better than to see a grown man cry over his 40th birthday party that he never in a million years would have before. We did a redo wedding last year for this kind of tough guy, and he broke down at this wedding, and he thought he was letting his wife do it because she wanted to be on TV and it was fun. And he actually got emotional because we put so much meaning into it, and he said, like, he made the camera stop, and he said, I never thought I would have this reaction. Like, I'm more emotional now than my wedding day because you put so much thought and so much meaning into every little thing here. And that's what I'm trying to teach the industry, is not make it all about the fluff and the pretty, to really put meaning and make it what it's really about. Oh, sweet, thank you. Oh, I'm thankful too for HGTV. Yeah. Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the new show. I appreciate that. I know it's a very different show than Housewives, but thank you. Well, for us particularly, it wasn't New Jersey Housewives. It was called Jersey Girls, and I was the first one chosen. It was my salon. They went to a salon in a few different towns and said, you have a group of girls. And he said, I have the perfect girl, because it was about women who could juggle it all. I have my own foundation for children with cancer. For those of you who don't know, it's called Project Ladybug. If you want to look that up, we do great things for kids with cancer. We do the kind of the forgotten things. We throw them a lot of parties and a lot of really meaningful things. So I have a foundation. I have my own business. I am a wife, I am a mother, I kind of juggle it all. So that's what the show was supposed to be about, women who could do it all. And it was supposed to be a really uplifting, positive show. And then OC came out. Well, OC was on at that time, But then New York came out in Atlanta, and they were so successful, they changed it over Jersey Housewives, and everything changed. Biggest budget for a wedding, probably $150,000. A wedding that I did a couple of years ago. That's for someone normal. Like, I've worked with celebrities before, and you really can't talk about who you worked with. You sign confidential. Those things were a little crazy. But a regular person, like the woman who lives up the street with me, $150,000. I know my wedding was on television, and it was said we spent 1.4, but we didn't. I'm in the business. My husband's in the birthday party, the most expensive birthday party. A lot of kids' birthday parties get carried away. I would say like $50,000, $60,000. And I'm the worst salesperson ever because I try to talk them out of it. I'm like, you crazy? I'm like, and I always try to get the charity element in there. Why don't we do this instead? And then you could donate this, So I'm probably not the best salesperson. But yeah, people want to outdo the last guy. And that's what I find so interesting about this industry. Being in design for so long, people had to play it safe. This is a space they need to live in every day. So they weren't willing to take that many risks. With a party, that's their goal, is to outdo the last bar mitzvah. So bar mitzvahs tend to be crazy. People spend a lot of money. Sweet 16s. I'm sorry. Because I don't have a gun. I have not, no. I recently did. We joke around because I always want to do a quinceañera. Like, I always wanted to do a big Indian wedding with a 4-day, and a quinceañera. And my daughter, who just turned 16, we were going to give her a quinceañera. The closest we came to it is we just did an event for, unfortunately, one of our patients at Ladybug, and she was Spanish, and we incorporated some of that Latin culture in there. But never full on, no. Oh my gosh. I should swing over there. Yeah. That's great. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's the worst kind of client. I really, like I said, it hasn't happened that much because I kind of have a way to walk them through it. And at that point, I know whether or not from the beginning I would want to work with someone like that. And I know sometimes you just need to take the job for the money and you have to work with these type of people. But I'm very blunt about that because I have my foundation and I see kids die every single day. And I will put them right in their place and say, are you seriously sick over the shade of orange when this mother's trying to live without her, what I saw 2 days ago? And that usually shuts them up. But for the most part, that's what I try to do along the process is teach them more about why they're doing this and why these guests are gathering together, and it's not just all about the orange rose. And if you kind of keep putting that in their head, they be less likely to flip out if something goes wrong. Oh, we've had people flip out because, the Venetian hour didn't go out at exactly 10 o'clock, and that's it, and screaming in the white dress. So try to keep telling them. Yeah. That's when you could just tell her off and walk out. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people will use that to try to get their money back, and that's just the way it is sometimes. We do not turn down anybody. We take all range. So yeah, that's why any budget, anything. I have done complete parties on what people have in their homes, just rearranging their furniture, taking vases out of the cabinets, using dishes in different ways, and I like that challenge. And I love to show them what they could have done on their own, what was in the space. So yeah, we don't, just because I'm at the level I am now, I have my own show, we don't turn down, like you can't afford us kind of thing. We do all ranges. I mean, obviously I'm really busy. I'm doing things like this on the weekends. I have my charity and everything. So if they want me to be there, they may have to pay a little bit more. But the girls are trained to work as I do, and I will always, there's never a party I don't get involved in. Behind the scenes, I'm sitting down at the conference table telling them different ways of doing things, but they know my style by now that they can kind of lead most of it without me. Anybody else? Yeah. She's 12. I know. Like, no, she was going through her awkward. My daughter was going through her awkward stage on national TV, the poor thing, and she had the glasses and the. But I loved her like that, and now she's this stunning thing that I need to lock in the basement for a long time. But she's a good kid. I pick my battles. So as long as she's good, and she actually likes to hang out with me and my. We had her Sweet 16 party on set as we were setting up a party the other day. During lunch we had cake and balloons and everything, and she loves spending time with us and setting up parties and. She's. Yeah, we did that, and we're going. I'm turning 40 in March, and she turned 16. I'm turning 40, so we're going to take a special trip together to Italy or something special. But she actually said, "Mom, is it weird that I hang out with you and your gay friends on the weekends?" I'm like, "No, it's absolutely normal." Yes. Well, you guys have been great. Thank you so much for letting me share this with you, and definitely keep up with Twitter and Facebook, and I'll be blasting out when we're doing Dina's party again when we'll air. We're down right now, but there's always some new and exciting things to see on the net, and I'm addicted to Twitter, so you'll always know what's going on. I'll tweet about it right now. Thank you.